You think you can stop us? No way! It's the Beer
Welcome back to Beer Bubbles, the number one bubbliest podcast in the world. I'm here with Cici once again.
Yes, and it's been a while now.
Yeah, it's
We're
been a while.
really sorry. It's been 3 weeks since the last podcast. 4.
Yeah, we work too.
We work too much. We got a guest today. Philip from Svartberget. The guy behind Svartberget.
Yes,
welcome to the podcast.
Hi. Very, very good to see you guys. Nice to be here.
Thank you. It's the second time we have Svartberget in the podcast. We did an interview with Sebastian, how long ago is it?
2 years ago.
Yeah.
On Zoom, which was an interesting experience. It was the first and last one we did on Zoom.
Because I was sitting there for hours trying to sync the sound with the picture afterwards.
It wasn't that kind of fun, so...
So should we start out with saying cheers to you guys and cheers to you guys?
Cheers.
Well, Philip, what is Svartberget and how are we should make... We're not drinking water here. What is Svartberget and who are you and why did you actually start Svartberget?
Good question. If you ask what is Svartberget, it's first and foremost it's a part of the mountain back home in Åre called Åreskutan. So it's part of the mountain range, and we call Svartberget sounds pretty good. So.
And Åre is the biggest ski resort in Sweden. By the way. Yeah.
Where which we call our home. I started off as many commercial brewers these days as a home brewer. Thought it was fun. Then it happened that in our family we had a restaurant on the mountain that was serving beer, quite a lot of beer, and we had an empty basement in that restaurant, and we thought, why don't we just put a little some brewing equipment in the basement and send it up to the bar, and that's basically how it got started. So I went from home brewer to a brew pub owner, so to say, starting off brewing 500 liters patches.
So you just didn't want to bring any more beer up from the foot of the mountain.
Exactly,
in the ski lift.
This restaurant is on top of the mountain, so it's only accessible by ski lift or snowmobile. So all the beer was transported, about 500 liters per week, transported by snowmobile up. So this was a fun, interesting challenge for me, but it was also quite nice, logistically speaking, to get the beer just on site, made on site.
And your background, well, you're a home brewer, but how did you end up finding this passion for brewing?
I mean, I always been interested in beverages. I came here to Accra when I just turned 18 to drink whiskey. I've been trying to understand wine, haven't really understood it that well. As I said, whiskey, other spirits, but beer has been the most welcoming and open beverage that I found to explore and get into. So that's how we got started. And I've been my family has been in the restaurant industry and so on. So we always like that part of the community and meeting people.
Speaking of community, you work, I don't know if you work closely, but with Åre Brew Company, because there's 2 breweries up in Åre. Yeah. How has that been working together and helping each other out?
We work together, for example, purchasing things together to get better prices for transportation. We worked, we borrow their car, they borrow our car. You borrow pack of yeast when it's needed, back and forth, such as so we do cooperate. We do. It's been working.
That's nice.
But you're not located on the mountain anymore. You've had to move down.
Exactly. Well, the mountain venture started 2017, and then 2019, 2 years after that, we started our bigger production facility down in the valley, where it's accessible by truck and car.
So you got fed up with actually getting beer down the mountain this time.
Exactly, because we were transporting more and more beer down the mountain. Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. So 2019 that got started in an old barley barn down in the valley. We set up a brewery there. With we have our own canning line. We have capacity of brewing about 300,000 liters per year. We brew 2,000 liter batches. So yeah, we have a nice setup, but we would like more space.
But you started quite different from most breweries because you started as a tap room.
Yeah, we started as a brew
You had
pub.
like 10 taps of your own beer first.
Yeah, and I mean that's how most breweries got started in the U.S. and other places. And I mean I wouldn't, you see the most tricky part with running a brewery is the packaging and logistics and selling the beer, because you never know what happens with the beer after it's packaged. So like brewing beer and selling on site, that's if I would start a brewery again, I would just do that. Because you can taste the beer right away. Yeah. It's fresh. You know how it's supposed to taste like. Because but then it's of course you always want to go bigger. So
how has the beer scene in Åre changed over the years since Åre and you guys started? And you both have grown quite a lot in a few years.
I think the beer scene in Åre is a bit tricky. It's the big guy. I mean, Åre is like one of the biggest marketplaces in Sweden in terms of visibility for brands. Whether it's chocolate, cars, you name it, solar panels.
I did a thing for Kelda up there about 25 years ago, cooking on the big square in the middle of the city.
And of course the big beer brands are there.
Yeah.
So Carlsberg and Spendrup spends a lot of money and effort to be there present. So I wouldn't say that the beer, but of course again there is a lot of beer consumed. So the amount of beer that is consumed is of course trickling down to us. So that's why we have a good local market, so to say. But we do rely on a lot of tourists. Åre is about 1,200 people off season, but then on season we have about 40,000 people there. And they drink beer Mondays through Sunday because they're on holiday there. So it's for us, January is not a bad month. It's a good month for us.
But you also have quite a lot of people in the summer.
It's growing a lot year round. So we have a lot of people in the summer for mountain biking, hiking, and so on. And they, I mean, it's natural. Like when you're a tourist and you go to a place, you want to eat local, experience local, and drink local. So it's like restaurants in Åre, they kind of have to buy local beer, because otherwise they don't have that option for tourists. Like that's really important. But you can see that with the breweries, our friends in Gotland, or that rely quite heavily. But the good thing is that we do have a summer season, we have a winter season, and we do kind of have a fall season now too. So that's good.
You still took the time to come here to us
during
winter season.
Of course.
Yeah?
It's still winter.
Oh, it's cold.
How is the export scene going around in Sweden? Because you have shown up quite a lot at Systembolaget as well, the Swedish monopoly, and also restaurants all over the place. When you're out on festivals quite a lot as well, I've seen. How is that going? Are you the one going to festivals mostly, or is it Sebastian as well?
Right now we are 3.5 people in the brewery, and we try to rotate. The problem is, I mean, I'm not in production that much, so I try to go to festivals so we don't disrupt production too much. But
and also it's fun.
And it's fun, yeah. So we try to balance it. We're going to go to Gothenburg now in April, because that's a really big one to be at, but that's also quite a demanding one because you have to set up and build your own booth, so to say. And then there's other festivals that are much easier to attend. You can just basically show up, and the only thing you have to do is write your beer on a sign.
Like Brewskill.
Yeah, like Brewskill. So we try to balance that.
And how's the monopoly been for you?
Monopoly has been...
we actually talked about this a bit yesterday.
Yeah. It's tricky. Like, the monopoly dictates everything. Like, I'm not a big fan of plan economy, or like when they decide the prices, they decide the beer styles that should come out, etc., etc. There's we do occasionally win these tenders. Now, for example, last Friday we released spring lager all over Sweden, like on a temporary. But it's like you can't rely on those releases, etc. And it is difficult. Like, we are quite a few breweries now that have grown to become big enough to say, well, the local segment in the monopoly is too small for us. We need more, but we're also not big enough to supply the regular segment, like fasta sortimentet. Then you need to be the size of Stigberget or Nils Oskar. So it's like there's nothing really in between there, and we try to express this to the bosses at the monopoly and try to make them understand like how we run our businesses. And that's a tricky situation for sure. But I just came from a really interesting meeting now here in Stockholm. We will be the first Swedish craft brewery to release our beer at a Vinoteket, which is the second largest alcohol seller in Sweden after the monopoly. So Vinoteket uses these laws that all the alcohol is stored abroad, like in Denmark, and then people buy it online to ship home. So they're actually now making an effort to start selling beer also. They started with wine. They've been doing that very well. Sell a few thousand cases every day to Swedish consumers. So now on Monday we release our beer there, and it's going to come in like a tasting tube of 3 cans stacked in a tube. And I think they are interested, and that will be a big thing for us because we need more avenues to reach people that want Swedish craft beer.
So, but how does pricing work with that? Because when you have the monopoly, you have it's stored in Sweden. It's not going too far. But you store abroad.
I mean, it's surprisingly it's not that expensive to send a pallet to Copenhagen. As opposed to like sending it here, so that's not a big difference. I mean, we have had like these Glasbanken and Ales and Brews and so on. The problem is that they've been only focusing on beer, so the volumes haven't really gone up like crazy, and then the prices have been high. So that's kind of like a dilemma there. What comes first?
So now every time someone buys a box of beer, they get, I like the way you put it yesterday, test tube.
Test tube, exactly.
It is a test tube. They tested it, and it's in a tube. So they get that with the wine package.
Yeah. So you can, I mean, you can buy, they have. That was the best way logistically for Vinoteket to package, because they usually sell 6, 9, or 12 bottles of wine, and a tube of 3 cans is about the same size as a bottle of wine. So it's very easy for them to pick and pack, so to say.
That's awesome.
So yeah, for us it's so nice to not be controlled by the monopoly in a way that we are. They control how our labels look like. They control when do we need to submit tasting tests to them, etc. Like it is.
But you also have quite a unique export way, because you are basically on the border to Norway. So your export must be Norway mainly.
We're just starting export. We done some export to Denmark, a little bit to Finland and Norway. But yeah, we're about 45 minutes from the Norwegian border, and then we have Trondheim there, which is a big Norwegian city and region. So we do.
Which also has a big beer tradition.
Yeah.
The Trøndelag around
Yeah,
Trondheim.
exactly, yeah. They have a big tradition of beer. So we are, we're making an effort in Norway, for sure. But it's, there's a lot of new, so to say, tech companies coming out. We work closely with a company called Flavy that distributes our beer all over Sweden. They're also trying to get into other markets. We work with a company in Denmark called Bee Makers that is a distribution platform, both to B2B customers but also B2C consumers. So, for example, beer drinkers in Netherlands or France can order beer from us, and we send it straight from our warehouse.
That's cool.
Through that. So there's a lot of these initiatives, and they're just coming out and they're being refined, and so there's a lot of things happening there, which is fun, because although beer is it's still a traditional thing to but we need to find avenues out to consumers and bars.
And what do we have in our glasses? I want you to talk a bit about your assortment, because you do quite a wide variety of beers.
Yeah, we since we started as a brew pub, we have this brew pub mentality, what I call it. Like when you go into a brew pub and drink the beers that they produce there, you have to have a quite a wide variety. You do need to make a couple of lagers, a couple of hoppy beers, maybe something more malty, a sour, etc. So we have that what we call brew pub mentality, that we didn't start off and saying, okay, we're only going to do hazy IPAs. That's our thing. No, because you can't have a brew pub with only hazy IPAs, basically. You can maybe.
Some do. I wouldn't go there, but okay. Yeah, well, that's just me.
Yeah. So we have a, you know, we try to we do say we brew beer that we like to drink. Like we do not like to drink pastry stouts or pastry sours, so we don't make them. We know the market can handle them, like they can buy them, but we don't really like it. But we have we're walking a fine line between being very traditional, but also trying to be progressive and see what the market wants. You know, we do brew a lot of hazy IPAs because there's still a strong market for it, both to bars and restaurants, but also to consumers in cans. But we do also have an effort to brew beer that we find interesting. We have, for example, one of our series is called Once Upon a Time, where we try to find a maybe extinct or near extinct beer style that we try to revive and try to recreate, so to say. So we done a Lichtenheiner, which is like a smoked sour German beer. We done a classic Berliner Weisse with mixed fermentation. So we have that series.
And one of my favorite styles as well, a Gretzer.
Yeah, the Polish Grodziski also. Yeah, that's a Polish smoked beer that we bought, Polish malt and Polish hops and so on.
Smoked wheat beer, basically. It's smoked wheat malt.
Yeah. So we try to balance that. We're going to start doing some cask beer also. Try that out.
And some gravity poured. We talked about that yesterday as well.
Yeah. So we try to balance that. You know, we're not we produce about 60% lager right now, which is a lot. We do a lot of lager beer. But the lager beer is obviously that's mainly for the local market, because we do have a strong. So it's a difficult business decision for a brewery to decide. Okay, are we going to focus on the local market, or are we going to try to be also very export slash national friendly in terms of the brand? Like some brands that start off, they're really cool. They only do hazy IPAs, and they get really high ratings, etc. They are very export friendly, like those kind of things. Versus a brand like us, we try to we want to have a strong local market, but we also want to try to have a brand that reaches across borders and across our country, so to say. So it's a fine line.
One thing that popped into my head now is one of the names of your beers a while ago. It's a hazy IPA. You called it fucking juicy IPA, and you had to change it.
Yeah.
Was that a monopoly?
Yeah, that was monopoly. Yeah. They said it was not appropriate for the Swedish consumers. So I can tell you that we're going to release fucking juicy IPA again on Vinoteket now.
Yeah. I hope so.
Because they don't have those ridiculous rules.
They have it. No, it's not fucking juicy anymore. Like,
it's
come on.
We had to change it to mighty juicy.
Yeah.
Mighty juicy. Yeah.
It was depressing.
You were allowed to call it mighty though.
Yeah, mighty
which
was
is
fine. Yeah.
Because I remember when Great Divide wanted to export their Hercules double IPA, and they weren't allowed in Systembolaget because they had this minuscule little guy with a weight bar over his head, and Systembolaget said, no, you can't have anything that it really implies that you become strong from drinking beer.
You can't work out while you drink beer, okay.
Well.
Well, we have a seasonal summer beer that we called Summer Smash Lager, and the monopoly asked, well, what does smash mean? Well, that means single malt, single hop. Like it's a single hopped lager. Oh, yeah, but smashed can also be drunk. But they
talk about overthinking.
Yeah, talk about overthinking. Yeah.
Oh well, we're not going to keep you too long because you are actually going up in the bar to work.
Opening the bar in 20 minutes.
Yeah, so we're going to let him open the bar. Me and Philip, we're actually going to have the second beer club meeting for Accra's Beer Club today. We had our first yesterday. That's why I'm talking about. We've been talking to each other a bit before about stuff. But it's been an absolute pleasure having you in the podcast. Looking forward to everything you do from now on as well. We're drinking their Italo Pils Roma, which is a dry pilsner, dry hop with European hops. In this case, German Hallertau,
Yeah.
Mittelfrüh.
Yeah,
Or-
yeah. And it's also gluten-free.
Yeah. So we'll end on that note. We'll
No,
say,
we won't.
we'll
because-
say cheers first, and
No.
then you can do what we normally do. Or
Yeah, the hard question.
oh God, I forgot the hard question.
Because I did that. I forgot that the last time I did a
Yeah.
podcast. We can't forget it this time.
Okay, you gotta ask it.
Philip, I'm sorry. You're about to die right now. But you can have one more beer. Whatever beer you want, either in production or not in production, you can have it once again. What are you having?
Old Rasputin.
Good choice.
Good choice.
Classic Imperial Stout from North Coast Brewing in California.
Fresh or vintage?
Fresh.
Fresh.
Yeah.
The vintage ones are bigger. You'll cheat death for a bit longer.
Do we still have Old Rasputin here?
We have I think the 14 and the 11 we have.
And the X, I think we have.
No, we're out of the X.
We're
I
out?
sold the last. Oh, sorry, I drank the last because I bought it in the bar.
Nice.
Well,
that's awesome.
cheers.
Cheers, guys.
And whatever you do out there, drink better beer.
La 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 la.